How did your parents control what you ate? My parents required me to fast for 1 hour for each dollar they spent on me because they believed children should feel the weight of their burden on the family. So a $20 purchase meant I wouldn't eat for almost a full day. They'd started when I turned 8, making me skip meals for small purchases, teaching me that my existence was a debt I could never repay. By 12, they solidified the rule, and soon I was fainting in class from accumulated fasting hours. The calculations ruled everything. Every meal, every pencil, every aspirin added hours to my debt. Dad would read receipts at dinner while I sat with an empty plate, watching my parents eat. $3.50 for milk you drank last week, $15 for those secondhand shoes, $4 for mandatory school supplies. My stomach would cramp as the hours accumulated. Mom created spreadsheets tracking my consumption patterns and would circle areas where I cost too much, usually basic necessities I couldn't avoid. I spent every day paying for whatever they'd spent on me the day before. Sometimes the cycles overlapped and the fast would stretch on for days. One time I needed antibiotics insurance wouldn't cover and I had to fast for a week. During the hunger periods, they made me write thank you notes with shaking hands. Dear Mom and Dad, thank you for the $30 winter coat. I will gladly fast for 30 hours to show my appreciation. I became an expert at calculating the cost of staying alive. A $2 notebook meant 2 hours of hunger, but failing class meant summer school, which cost hundreds. Easy decision. But it wasn't always that straightforward. I'd stand in store aisles doing math in my head, weighing how many more hours of emptiness I could endure, adding up what I'd already spent that day, and what was coming up that I couldn't avoid. Sometimes I'd put items back and walk out with nothing, knowing my body couldn't take another dollar. By the time I was 13, I was starving, and I started begging for mercy. I'd wait until Mom seemed softer, usually after her evening wine, and plead for basic things without the fasting. Please, just this once, I need tampons and I'm already 40 hours beyond. She'd stroke my hair sympathetically before explaining that suffering built character. We're making you strong, she'd say while I cried from hunger. Someday you'll thank us. When I threatened to tell the school what was going on, she just said, they'll think you have an eating disorder like all the girls your age who didn't have parents to teach them what a real problem feels like. While those other kids were complaining about homework while I spent nights curled around my empty stomach, trying to sleep through the pain. I didn't have friends to confide in because I couldn't relate to anyone and I was so locked inside myself with hunger. If I ever went out with anyone, I'd have to make excuses why I couldn't eat if it was during one of my fasts, or why I was gorging myself if it wasn't. Friends stopped inviting me places. Teachers questioned my parents about my weight, but Dad had rehearsed answers about growth spurts and fast metabolisms. The day I collapsed during PE, the nurse found me at 78 pounds. She threatened to call CPS, and my parents yanked me out of school so fast I didn't get to say goodbye to anyone. They said the state couldn't understand their advanced parenting methods. Homeschooling meant total control. No outside eyes to see me dying slowly in calculated increments, and nobody I could turn to for help. When I was 15, vision started failing from malnutrition. The eye exam cost $75, and the cheapest glasses were another $100. Dad announced this meant 175 hours without food, over a week of fasting. I knew my organs were already failing from years of starvation. Another week would kill me. I started stealing food anywhere I could, shoving granola bars in my pockets at grocery stores and eating them in public bathrooms. Each stolen bite felt like rebellion and defeat combined. I couldn't believe this was what my life had come to. Then one day I was hiding in the library scarfing down pretzels I'd stolen from a drugstore, and someone had left out a book about children's legal rights. That's how I learned that parents must provide food, shelter, and medical care unconditionally. My parents had lied to me my whole life and said they didn't legally owe me anything at all. I copied the pages with shaking hands and brought them home. At dinner, while my parents enjoyed pot roast I couldn't touch, I set the papers on the table. This is illegal, I said. What you're doing to me is child abuse. Mom's fork clattered on her plate. Dad's face went dark as he read. You ungrateful bitch, Mom whispered, after everything we've sacrificed for you. My father said, do you think I care what some book says? This is my house. I am the law. It turned out they'd seen my rebellion coming even before I had, and they'd prepared. Dad opened the basement door to reveal a small bedroom he'd set up. In reality, it was more like a jail cell. A bare mattress, a bucket, stone walls. You think you're too good for our lessons? Mom grabbed my hair, yanking me toward the stairs. Let's see how your legal knowledge helps you down there. I fought back, but my malnourished body had no strength left. They dragged me down as I screamed for help no one would hear. The door slammed shut and I heard the lock turn. Mom's voice drifted through. We'll check on you in a week. By then you'll be begging to show proper gratitude. Their footsteps faded upstairs. I pressed against the cold door and wondered if anyone would ever find me. Full story on channel below.